Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is my second video in my makeup inventory series. I'm going to be showing you my bronzers and face palettes, and I'm going to be swatching everything for you. So let's get right into it. First, I have these pressed powder bronzers from ColourPop. I have the shade Spectacle. The shade Wild Card, and the shade Opening Act. These pressed bronzers from ColourPop are not my favorite, especially this one, Spectacle. I did a really heavy swatch. Usually it's very hard to show up on my skin. It also, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. It looked, especially around the edge, it looked like it got hard pan very quickly. Definitely not one of my favorite products from ColourPop. I don't think I would repurchase their pressed bronzers. I like their other pressed powder products, just not their bronzers. Next, I have this Revolution Ultra Bronze. I've been using this for my Ticking Time Bomb project pan this month, and I've been liking it. It's definitely cooler than these other ColourPop bronzers. It's a very nice formula too. Next is my Too Faced Natural Lust bronzer, which I got for the Peacock. I mean, let's be honest here. I like to use mostly this with a little bit, see, that's more of this shimmery shade. I like to use that on my cheeks and then more of the darker shade along my hairline. Together they're really nice, but Too Faced is on my shit list right now, so I would not be repurchasing that. Next, as far as single bronzers, I have this Ulta Beauty Baked Bronzer. There's no shade name, it's just the baked bronzer. This one is really nice. It's a very glowy bronzer. It's definitely got some shimmer to it. Then I have, of course, everybody I think has one of these, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, which has the best smell. I'm pretty sure this is the lightest shade. It's just the bronzer shade. So it needs a little building up on my skin, but especially for the winter time when I'm more pale, it's a good bronzer for me. And then lastly, in my single bronzers, I have this Bare Minerals bronzer in the shade Warmth. This is, I thought I closed this. This is kind of dark for me. Let's see if I can. Yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure, the darkest bronzer that I own. This will probably be much better. This will probably be much better in the summertime when I have more of a tan, but it's in my New Decade project pan right now, so I'm just being extremely, extremely light-handed with it, because otherwise I just look ridiculous. Now onto my palettes. These are all my single bronzers. Next, I have this Ulta Beauty Baked Sculpt and Glow palette in the shade California Sunlight. I'm pretty sure this, well, it might be a shade darker. This is the Ulta Baked Bronzer. This is from the palette. They're pretty much exactly the same shade once they're sheared out, which I didn't realize when I bought them, but that's okay because this one has the blush and the highlighter with it, so I don't need to go into, there's the highlighter. It's just a really nice pinky highlighter, and it's a kind of a rosy, mauvey, shimmery blush. I really like this palette. And I have the CoverGirl True Blend Sculpting Palette in the shade Bloom Babe. I believe this was one of the first things from CoverGirl I bought after they became cruelty-free. This bronzer is, it's a little warm, but the highlight and the blush are right up my alley, which those are the reasons why I bought the palette, for the highlight and the blush. It's a decent palette. I don't use it as much as I should, but it's definitely, I feel like this is more of a springtime palette anyway. Then I have this Revolution Ultra Contour palette. I've almost completely used up the setting powder. You can see I've got pan in the like yellow under eye setting powder, and I have pan in this lightest kind of shimmery bronzer. And I have to start using my other arm. I've almost hit pan on this bronzer and this bronzer. So this is, oh, make sure I'm not blinding you guys. 1, 2, 3. You can see the first and the third are extremely similar. They're more warm toned. The middle one is more cool toned. So I usually, when I use this palette, I use this one on my cheeks, and I'll use one of these on my brow bone, and then just kind of lightly dust this lighter, more shimmery bronzer over. And then it has 2 highlighters, this lighter icy pink and this white, which I think I have hard pan in. Yeah, I definitely have hard pan in. That's not a good swatch. I actually like to mix these two together because this white is just too stark on its own. I mean, you can see how old this is. The writing is all rubbing off. I probably would not repurchase this, just for the fact this highlighter I have in another palette I'm going to show you, so I don't need 2 of this. This setting powder is okay. I do not really care for this one. It's too yellow. Next, I have this little City Color Contour Palette. I got this in an Ipsy bag. It's actually pretty nice. Again, I use this cooler shade on my cheeks, although that's pretty dark. This lighter shade on my forehead, and then this highlight, you can actually sheer it out quite a bit, and it's not super glittery. So it's not so stark on your face when you use it. And then I have this I Heart Revolution Peach and Glow Blush and Highlighter Duo. This is very new to my collection. I've only used it once, but these are the kind of tones that I love. So you can see it's actually very similar to the CoverGirl palette, although the highlight is a little darker, a little more pink. So I'm going to wash these off because I have more to swatch for you, and we'll be right back. Okay, this is my last kind of combined palette. It's my Lorac Shine Bright Cheek palette. It's got the 4 blushes and the 2 highlighters. This is like the more dusty neutral row, and this is more the pinky, like goldeny row. This is the shade Aura, the shade Tea Rose, and the highlighter is Bold Spirit. So Aura, Tea Rose, and Bold Spirit. This is a really nice formula. I really like the Lorac formula. Unfortunately, they're not really considered cruelty-free, which is a shame because I have 3 Lorac palettes, 2 of the Mega Pros, and then I have the eyeshadow palette that came out with this. I believe this was the 2018 like holiday collection, and they're so beautiful, but I'm not going to be purchasing from Lorac anymore. Now the second row, the shade Technicolor, Blossom, and Opalescent. Again, these are, especially when we do my blush video, you will see, and my highlight video, these are the colors I really gravitate towards. The peachy pinks and corally pinks. And then as far as highlighters, this is a little more golden than I would normally go for, but it's definitely in the same color family of, I missed a bronze swatch. It's definitely in the same color family of highlighters that I liked to purchase. Next, this is probably my favorite face palette ever. And if I lost all of my face palettes right now, this would be the one that I repurchase. It's the Saharan Blush Volume 2 from Juvia's Place. Just look at those colors. This Yara, I can use as a bronzer. That's too dark for my cheeks as a blush. Sola is a nice blush topper. Like, look at how vibrant that is. Tau is probably my favorite shade. It looks very orangey, but it's got this corally undertone that just looks so pretty on the cheeks. And then we have B, Zoba, and Lena. I mean, just look at those. Zoba I could even use as a highlight. I mean, this palette is amazing. I would definitely recommend checking this one out. And the last 3 face palettes I have are all highlighter palettes. So this is the Makeup Geek and Kathleen Lights collab with the shades Sunlight, Starlight, and Nightlight. This one is probably a little too dark, but I could use it as a blush topper, or honestly, I would probably just still use it as a highlight. But this whole palette is so beautiful. My last 2 palettes are highlighting palettes from Revolution. I don't remember what the name of this quad is called. It's either like Ignite or it's something like that, but that's a little more icy than I would normally like, but usually I will combine this one because it's too white and this one because it's too dark, and they make a really nice shade together. These two, I mean, you'll see those shades over and over again in my highlighter video, but I like a light gold or an icy, a kind of peachy pink. And then lastly, this Pro HD palette. Now, some of these are obviously way too dark for me to use as highlighters, like this shade Bird, this shade Shady, even Sweet is probably way too dark, but these can be used as blush toppers as well. Okay, I'll start with Holding. This is the shade Rich. This is a really pretty, like, yellowy white gold color. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really pretty. This would make a really nice eyeshadow. That's the shade Bird. And then this is the shade Lush. Oh, I need a better swatch. Whistle. That would make a really pretty blush topper. I'm going to skip the shade Pearl because that is the color that is in this Ultra Contour palette. It's the same shade. Glisten. I think I mainly bought this for the more purpley tones. This is a peachier golden shade. And oh, like cool pink and cool purple highlights. I don't know why, but I just love them. Then we have Spicy. I love that one. Shady. This would make another really nice eyeshadow. It's a little bit lighter than the shade Bird, but they're very similar. The shade Hot and the shade Lit. Again, this Lit would make a really nice blush topper. And then the last two in this palette are Shine, which I'm currently using in my TikTok or Ticking Time Bomb project pan, and Sweet. So that's all of the shades from the HD Amplified palette. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said in my previous video, I really enjoy watching swatching videos because I just like seeing what the color of a product looks like on someone's skin. Hopefully the lighting was good enough so you could at least kind of see the color variations. But I will be back next time with my blush. Bye!